You are a product. Let that sink in. Not a person, not an individual soul with limitless potential. A product, manufactured, packaged, sold. From the moment you drew your first breath, a path was meticulously laid out for you. A blueprint, a pre-approved life script. But this script was not written for your success, your joy, or your liberation. It was engineered for your servitude. Go to school, memorize the approved information, get a job, do what you're told, go into debt, buy the things they tell you to buy. This isn't a path to freedom. It's a production line. And you are the widget being assembled. Assembled to serve a purpose that is not your own. They don't want you rich. Wealth is power, and power is a threat. They don't want you strong. Physical and mental strength breeds resilience, the ability to withstand pressure and say no. And they sure as hell don't want you free. Because a free mind doesn't consume mindlessly. A free person doesn't work for 40 years out of fear. And a free soul cannot be controlled. What do they want? They want you weak, distracted, and in debt. Why? Because a population that's weak is a population that's dependent. A population that's distracted is a population that's docile, too caught up in manufactured outrage and trivial pursuits to notice the bars of their own cage. And a population that's indebted is a population that is permanently, hopelessly profitable. An indebted population is a compliant population, a desperate population. In this video, I'm not here to offer you simple life hacks or motivational platitudes. We are going beyond that. I'm not just going to tell you the system is rigged against you. I'm going to hand you the very blueprint they use, the schematics for the machine that has been designed to financially and mentally enslave you from the moment you were born. I will show you every gear, every lever, every hidden switch, and then I'm going to show you how to pour gasoline on that blueprint, light a match, and forge your own path from the ashes. We are going to burn it all down. The first pillar of this insidious system, the very foundation of your lifelong conditioning, is the one they masterfully disguise as your greatest opportunity, your education. You were told school was where you would go to learn how to think, to explore your passions, to create, to blossom into a sovereign individual capable of shaping the world. That was the first and perhaps the most profound, great lie. The modern public education system was never built for your enlightenment. It was never intended to set you free. Its design philosophy is a direct descendant of models like the 19th century Prussian system, a model which had a crystal clear, unapologetic purpose: to produce loyal, obedient soldiers and compliant, unquestioning factory workers. It was engineered for mass production of human components, not the cultivation of individual genius. The goal was uniformity. It taught obedience over initiative, memorization over critical thinking, and absolute conformity over disruptive creativity. Does that sound disturbingly familiar? Does it sound like the last 12 years of your life? Think about the reality of your experience. You were placed in a sterile box, a classroom, with 30 other children, each of you born with a unique combination of talents, innate learning styles, and burning passions. And what did the system do with that beautiful, chaotic diversity? It crushed it. It demanded that every single one of you learn the exact same thing, in the exact same way, at the exact same pace, regardless of aptitude or interest. You were taught to sit down, be silent, and raise your hand for permission to speak, to think, to even use the restroom. You were conditioned to regurgitate pre-digested information onto a standardized test, a metric that measures not intelligence or potential, but your capacity for compliance. The unspoken message, screamed at you from every corner of that institution, was clear. Your individuality is a problem to be managed and suppressed, not a gift to be cultivated and celebrated. This system isn't searching for the next visionary entrepreneur, the next great artist, the next philosopher. It is an assembly line for employees, designed to stamp out any deviation from the norm. And the most damning piece of evidence, the smoking gun that proves the intentionality behind this design, is what they deliberately and systematically leave out of the curriculum. For generations, the one subject that dictates your freedom more than any other, the single skill that governs your stress levels, your options in life, and your ability to navigate the modern world, personal finance, was almost entirely absent. The ghost in the machine. They would dedicate hundreds of hours to teaching you complex geometry you'd never use, the dates of long forgotten battles in distant empires, the intricate molecular structure of a cell. All interesting, perhaps, but ultimately useless for survival in the world they built. But how to build and leverage credit? How to invest for your future? How does a mortgage actually work? And how does it enslave you for 30 years? How do you read a balance sheet, a profit and loss statement, the very language of money and power? Absolute deafening silence. Now you might be thinking, but things are changing. My state just mandated a financial literacy course. And you're right to notice that. As of 2025, more than half the country has started to implement some form of financial education requirement, and the number is growing. But you have to ask yourself the critical questions. Why now? Why, after generations have been systematically pushed into the world financially illiterate, are they suddenly offering a single semester on basic budgeting? Here's my take. It's a calculated, strategic maneuver. It is too little, far too late, and that is by deliberate design. A single superficial course cannot possibly undo 12 years of deep indoctrination into the employee mindset. It's a token gesture, a pressure release valve designed to quiet the growing number of people waking up and realizing they've been systematically cheated. They'll teach you how to budget your meager paycheck, but they will never teach you how to build a system where you no longer need one. They'll teach you how to be a responsible, compliant debtor, but they will never, ever teach you how to become the lender. They will teach you how to choose the right savings account with a 0.1% interest rate while inflation eats it alive. They will not teach you how to acquire assets that produce real cash flow. The goal was never for you to be financially powerful. That was never the intention. The goal was to train you to be a high-functioning, efficient, and utterly dependent cog in a vast economic machine you do not own and do not control. You graduate, perhaps with honors, clutching a piece of paper that certifies your compliance. But you're already burdened with staggering debt, knowing exactly how to work for money, but with absolutely no idea how to make money work for you. You have been perfectly prepared to be an employee, a renter of your time, and never the owner. That's the first shackle, locked firmly in place before you even turn 18. After 12 to 16 years of this meticulous psychological conditioning, you are ceremoniously released from the education system. But you are not released into freedom. You are guided, like livestock, directly into the next phase of the blueprint, the career cage. This is the great 40-year lie, the monumental bait and swip of modern life. The old promise, the one sold to our parents and grandparents, was a simple, understandable contract. Dedicate your productive life to a single company. Demonstrate loyalty. Work hard. And in return, the company would take care of you. It would provide stability, a steady paycheck that could raise a family, and the holy grail of financial security, a pension, a defined benefit pension. That wasn't just a savings plan, it was a promise. It meant your reward for a lifetime of loyal service was a guaranteed, predictable income until the day you died. The company, the institution bore the risk. Your loyalty was repaid with genuine, tangible security. That promise is now a forgotten relic, a museum piece. For the vast majority of people, it is dead and buried. In the private sector, the pension was systematically and ruthlessly dismantled. It was replaced by the 401k. This wasn't a minor policy change or an upgrade for your benefit. It was a revolutionary and cynical shift of all financial risk from the corporation directly onto your shoulder. A pension is a promise of security. A 401k is a glorified casino account. It's a gamble that you, the financially uneducated graduate of their school system, will save enough. A gamble that you will invest wisely in a market rigged by insiders. A gamble that the market won't crash catastrophically the year before you plan to retire, wiping out decades of your sacrifice. A gamble that you won't live too long and outlast your own savings, facing poverty in your final years. Why the switch? The story they sold us was one of portability and employee empowerment. Such beautiful, hollow words. The reality is far more cynical and far more predatory. Publicly traded companies are not loyal to their employees. They have a legal, fiduciary duty to be loyal only to their shareholders. Your salary, your benefits, your retirement security, your very job, these are not seen as assets to be nurtured. On their financial statements, they are liabilities. They are expenses on a balance sheet that must be relentlessly minimized to maximize quarterly profits. Mass layoffs, outsourcing your job to a cheaper country, wage stagnation, and benefit cuts aren't unfortunate side effects of a tough economy. They are celebrated, rewarded tools for maximizing shareholder value. The loyalty that was once a two-way street, a sacred contract, now flows in only one direction, yours to them. Theirs is only to the stock price. This brings us to your salary, your paycheck. You must understand this critical truth. It is not a measure of your value. It is not a reflection of the wealth you create for the company. It is a carefully calculated number, often determined by algorithms and market data, designed with one primary purpose: to keep you trapped It is engineered to be just enough to cover your mortgage, your car payment, and your monthly bills. It's just enough to afford a few fleeting comforts. A yearly vacation, a new phone, a subscription box, to create the illusion that you're getting ahead, to give you just enough to lose so you're afraid to rock the boat. But it is almost never enough to build what I call escape velocity wealth. That is the amount of capital required to break free from the gravitational pull of wage dependency. It's designed to keep you perpetually dependent, to ensure you have to show up next week, next month, next year, for the next 40 years. It creates a state of perpetual financial survival, not financial freedom. You are running on a hamster wheel, and every time you manage to get a small raise, the price of everything else, food, housing, energy, insurance, all driven by inflation and lifestyle creep, moves the finish line just a little bit further away. This is the reality of modern wage slavery. The chains aren't physical iron forged in a fire. They're invisible, digital chains forged from direct deposits and automatic monthly bill payments. You trade the best hours of your day, the most vibrant years of your life, not to build your own dream, not to create your own legacy, but to service the machine that owns your time. You are trapped in the career cage, and the bars aren't made of steel. They're made of paychecks just big enough to make you terrified to ever leave. The education system makes you a compliant worker. The career cage keeps you working for 40 years. But the mechanism that truly binds you, the one that ensures you can never truly escape, is the debt matrix. Let me be perfectly clear with my perspective. The entire modern financial system, from top to bottom, is designed to make you a permanent debtor. Your debt is their most valuable asset. Your financial liability is their primary revenue stream. You are not the customer, you are the product. You are meant to be a slave to the lender. This systematic enslavement starts with the very thing you're told will set you free: a college education. Student loans are masterfully marketed as good debt, a noble investment in your future. But for millions, they are the first and heaviest link in a lifelong chain of financial servitude. As of mid-2025, total student loan debt in the United States has metastasized to over $1,770 billion, shackling more than 42.7 million Americans. The average federal balance alone is over $38,000, 0 cents. It's a form of debt so insidious and so predatory that for decades it has been nearly impossible to discharge in bankruptcy, following you like a shadow for the rest of your life, even to the grave. While some recent policies are beginning to crack that door open, the fundamental trap remains firmly in place. You are forced to start your adult life in a deep financial hole, spending the first and most energetic decade of your career working furiously just to get back to zero. Once you're out, clutching your expensive degree and your crippling debt, the system is waiting with the next set of shackles, ready to be clamped on. Credit cards are pushed on you relentlessly, normalizing the insidious idea of borrowing money for consumption, for dinners, for gadgets, for clothes. You are actively encouraged through sophisticated marketing and psychological manipulation to buy things you don't need with money you don't have, to impress people you don't even like. Every swipe of that plastic creates high interest, revolving debt. A virtual cash cow for the banks that generates hundreds of billions of dollars in profits. Then comes the biggest prize in their game, the mortgage. The so-called American dream of homeownership becomes a 30-year debt sentence for the vast majority. It tethers you to a specific location, making you less mobile, less adaptable, less likely to take entrepreneurial risks, and therefore more dependent on that single steady job in that single town. As the 2025 total household debt in the US has skyrocketed to a staggering $17,700 billion, 0 cents, with mortgages making up the vast majority of that mountain of obligations. Are you seeing the blueprint now? The pattern is undeniable. Education debt forces you into the career cage immediately. The job pays just enough to service that initial debt and, crucially, to qualify you to take on even more debt for a car and a house. You become a cash flow asset for the financial class. Your entire life, your labor, your time is spent working to pay interest to the very institutions that design the trap you're in. This is not an accident. This is not a coincidence. A system that produces this exact outcome so consistently for so many millions of people across generations isn't broken. It's working exactly as it was intended. The ultimate proof is in the state of perpetual precarity it creates. As of early 2025, numerous reports and surveys reveal a terrifying truth. A massive portion of Americans cannot cover a surprise $1,000, 0 cents expense. Some surveys show this figure is around 44%, while others put it as high as a shocking 59%. The story is the same. Tens of millions of people are one unexpected car repair, one sudden medical bill, one leaking roof away from a complete financial crisis. And when that inevitable crisis hits, what is the only solution the system ever offers you? More debt, a new credit card, a home equity loan, a personal loan. The cycle tightens its grip, strangling your freedom a little more each time. They do not want you with a year of expenses saved up in the bank. A person with savings is a person who can say no. They can quit a job they hate. They can walk away from a toxic boss. They can take 6 months off to start a business. They are free. A person drowning in monthly payments has no choice but to say yes. Yes to the demeaning boss. Yes to the unpaid overtime. Yes to a life they did not choose for themselves. You are not a customer of the banking system. You are its product, its fuel. You are, in no uncertain terms, a modern-day debt slave. The final and most powerful layer of this control system isn't financial. It is entirely psychological. The shackles on your bank account are brutally effective, but the shackles on your mind are what make the system truly inescapable. They have constructed an elaborate mental prison around you, and their greatest trick is that they want you to think it's a paradise. The entire system profits most when you are mentally weak, emotionally reactive, perpetually anxious, and hopelessly distracted. This isn't just advertising, it's a sophisticated form of psychological warfare. It is engineered to create a constant state of dissatisfaction and insecurity, a void that can only be filled by purchasing something new. This keeps you spending money you don't have, driving you deeper and deeper into your role in the debt matrix. The second wall of the prison is the 24/7 outrage machine of corporate news and social media. You must understand that these platforms are not designed to inform you. They are designed with breathtaking precision to addict you. The algorithms that govern what you see are not optimized for truth or context. They are optimized for engagement. And what engages a human brain most effectively? Fear, anger, and division. They want you terrified of a virus, furious with your neighbor over politics, and locked in tribal warfare with the other side. A distracted, emotional, and divided population is an easily controlled population. They're too busy fighting each other to ever look up and see who is actually pulling the strings. The third and perhaps most insidious wall is ideological. This is my analysis of the cultural programming I see happening all around us. Society, through its most powerful institutions in media and academia, has begun to actively celebrate victimhood and vilify strength. It seems engineered to make people, and especially men, soft, apologetic, and weak. The traditional masculine virtues that built civilizations, ambition, competitiveness, assertiveness, risk-taking, the primal drive to protect and provide, are increasingly being reframed as toxic. Why would this be? Because strong, capable, formidable people are a direct threat to a system that demands compliance. People who are self-reliant, resilient, and willing to draw a line in the sand cannot be easily controlled or manipulated. A system that requires a population of sheep must first neutralize the spirit of the wolves. This psychological programming targets women as well, just in a different, more subtle way. It seems to tell women that their primary value and path to fulfillment lies exclusively in career ambition, often at the direct expense of family and partnership. It encourages them to view men not as potential partners in a powerful union, but as competitors in a zero-sum game, or as oppressors to be overcome. This sows seeds of division and resentment, distracting both men and women from the immense, world-changing power of a strong, unified family. This leads directly to the final strategic objective of the mental prison, the systematic breakdown of the family. The family unit is the most powerful and resilient social and economic unit in human history. It is a bastion of private support, a center for generational wealth transfer, and a source of identity and values completely independent of the state and the corporation. Strong families create strong, independent individuals. A population of isolated, atomized individuals, on the other hand, is fragile, lonely, and deeply dependent. When the family unit crumbles, where do people turn for support, for identity, for help? They turn to the government for a safety net and to corporations for their sense of self. I believe the breakdown of the nuclear family is not a tragic social trend, but a strategic necessity for a system that desires total control over the individual. You are being programmed from every angle. You are conditioned to consume, not create, to be distracted, not focused, to be weak, not strong, to be dependent, not sovereign. You are living inside a vast psychological prison, and the most twisted part of it all is they've convinced you that you hold the key, when in fact, they designed the locks and threw the key away. I know I have painted a bleak, grim picture. I have handed you the schematics for your own enslavement. Now it is time to set it on fire. Knowing the rules of their game is the first crucial step. The next is to refuse to play and to create your own. This isn't about tweaking their system with a better budget or a slightly higher savings rate. This is about building your own parallel system of personal strength and absolute sovereignty. This requires a radical, uncompromising transformation of your finances, your mind, and your body. Here are the 3 counter rules. This is your new blueprint. First, you must violently reject the employee/debtor mindset that has been hammered into you since birth. You must adopt the mindset of an owner. Stop thinking only about earning a bigger paycheck and start thinking obsessively in terms of acquiring assets. What is an asset? It is something that puts money in your pocket month after month, whether you work or not. A liability is something that takes money out of your pocket. Their entire system is designed to have you accumulate liabilities that look like assets. A car with a payment, a house with a mortgage, a phone on a plan. Your new mission in life is to accumulate income-producing assets. Now, this sacred journey begins with a declaration of total war on high-interest consumer debt. That debt is the anchor chained to your ankle, dragging you to the bottom of the ocean. You must attack it with a relentless, merciless intensity. This is not a negotiation with your lender, it's a financial exorcism. Use the debt snowball or the debt avalanche method. I honestly don't care which one you choose, just choose one and begin the slaughter. Pour every single spare dollar into eliminating your credit cards, your personal loans, and your car payments. Every dollar of debt you kill is a guaranteed tax-free investment return. It is the first, most critical step to reclaiming your power and your future income. While you are fighting this war on debt, you must simultaneously build your defenses. You must build your freedom fund. This is an emergency fund of at least 6 to 12 months of your basic living expenses, held in liquid cash. This is not an investment, it is insurance against tyranny. This fund is your shield. It's the wall that protects you from the system. It allows you to handle a sudden job loss, a medical emergency, or an economic downturn without crawling back to the banks and begging for more debt. It buys you options, it buys you time. It is the foundation upon which all future freedom is built. Once the high interest debt is annihilated and your freedom fund is fully fortified, every surplus dollar you earn has a new, single, glorious mission: to buy your freedom by acquiring productive assets. What are these? They are pieces of businesses, also known as stocks. They are properties that generate monthly rent, or, most powerfully, they are your own business, where you own the means of production and sell a product or service to the marketplace. You do not need a fortune to start this process. This isn't about gambling or picking hot stocks you heard about on the news. It's about consistently and automatically buying a small piece of the entire economy through low-cost, diversified index funds. Think of it as a small, steady bet on long-term human ingenuity and progress. Like clockwork, a portion of your income goes not to a bank to service a liability, but into an army of assets that work for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, even while you sleep. You stop being primarily a consumer and a worker. You start becoming an owner. This is the single greatest mindset shift you will ever make in your life. It is the profound shift from being a pawn in their game to becoming a player in your own. Financial sovereignty is utterly impossible without mental sovereignty. You cannot build an empire on the outside if your mind is occupied by territory controlled by the enemy. You must evict their programming, tear down their mental prison wall by wall, and build an impenetrable fortress in its place. Start today with a radical and ruthless change in your information diet. Starve the algorithms that feed on your outrage and anxiety. Unfollow the corporate news outlets that profit from your fear and division. Permanently delete the social media applications that are nothing more than digital slot machines for your attention, engineered to keep you scrolling into oblivion. Stop the passive, endless consumption of mindless content that leaves you feeling empty, anxious, and envious. You must replace this mental junk food with a diet of high-quality knowledge. Read books, not just for pleasure, but for power. Study history so you understand how we got here. Study philosophy to learn how to think. Study economics and finance to understand the language of power. Instead of consuming 2 hours of mindless entertainment every evening, dedicate one of those hours to learning a high-value skill: coding, sales, marketing, a skilled trade like welding or plumbing. These skills are weapons. They make you more valuable, give you the tangible ability to build your own income streams, and make you far less dependent on a single boss for your survival. The absolute bedrock of a fortified mind is self-discipline. It is not something you have, it is a muscle you build through daily, repeated effort. Wake up early before the world can impose its agenda on you. Take a cold shower to build mental resilience. Do the workout you promised yourself you would do, especially when you don't feel like it. Keep the promises you make to yourself, no matter how small. These small, daily acts of discipline build immense mental toughness and genuine self-respect. They are daily proof that you are in control of your actions, not your impulses. Finally, you must embrace productive solitude. The system wants you constantly connected and distracted because in the silence, you might start to think, you might start to question, you might start to plan your escape. Schedule time every single day to be alone with your thoughts. No phone, no computer, no distractions. This is where you will define your mission, clarify your goals, and strategize your moves. You must consciously shift your identity from being a passive consumer of their culture to being an active creator of your own life. The final counter rule underpins and energizes everything else. You must reclaim your physical power. A weak, soft body cannot possibly sustain a strong, disciplined mind. Your physical health is the engine of your ambition. They want you soft, sedentary, sick, and dependent on their pharmaceutical industry. You must become hard, active, and radiantly healthy. This is simple, but it is not easy. Lift heavy weights. Your muscles are your physical and psychological armor. Building physical strength has a direct and profound impact on your mental strength, your hormonal balance, and your daily energy levels. When you are physically strong, you carry yourself differently. You project confidence. You feel more capable of handling any challenge, and you are far less easily intimidated. Eat real food. You must reject the processed, sugar-laden, chemically preserved garbage that is engineered in a lab to be addictive. You must fuel your body with what it was designed to run on: meat, fish, eggs, fruits, and vegetables. Your body is not a trash can for corporate food products. It's a high-performance machine that will carry you through your life's battles. Treat it with the respect it deserves. For the men watching this, it is time to unapologetically and completely reject the pervasive narrative of weakness. Your masculine energy, your drive, your ambition is not toxic. It is the engine of progress, creation, and protection. Embrace your ambition. Seek out healthy competition. Build your physical and mental strength until you are formidable. Learn to be dangerous, but keep that danger disciplined and channeled toward a noble purpose. The world is in desperate need of strong, honorable, and capable men who can build, protect, and lead. For the women watching this, reject the insidious narratives that pit you against men and that devalue your unique and equally powerful feminine strengths. Your power in collaboration, intuition, and nurturing is a force of nature. True empowerment isn't just about climbing a corporate ladder built by someone else. It's about building strong partnerships, creating resilient and unbreakable families, and shaping the future, the cornerstones of any healthy and prosperous society. This leads to the ultimate act of rebellion against a system that wants you isolated and alone, rebuilding the strong family unit. A system that wants you dependent and atomized fears nothing more than a strong, sovereign family. A man and a woman united in a committed partnership built on mutual respect, trust, and shared goals create an economic and social fortress that is nearly impenetrable. Teaching your children these principles of sovereignty, strength, and critical thinking is the greatest legacy you can possibly leave. It is how you break the cycle of servitude, not just for yourself, but for generations to come. The system is a game. It has always been a game. For your entire life, you've been a player on a board that was rigged from the very start. The rules were written by the house, for the house, to ensure that you would always eventually lose. But today, right now, that changes forever. The curtain has been pulled back. The blueprint for your failure has been exposed in detail, and you can never unsee it. You now stand at a profound fork in the road. You have a choice to make, and it is the most important choice of your life. You can continue down the well-trodden path that was laid out for you, remain a compliant cog in their machine, a battery to be drained of its energy. You can accept a life of quiet desperation, trading your one wild and precious life, your freedom, for the comfortable illusion of security. Or you can choose the other path, the hard path, the path of discipline, sacrifice, and glorious rebellion. You can begin today to build your own world, your own system, your own freedom, brick by painful brick. You can become the owner, the creator, the sovereign individual you were born to be. This journey is not for the faint of heart. I promise you it will be lonely at times. The system and the people still plugged into it will fight you. They will call you strange, selfish, or crazy, but the alternative, a life of passive, comfortable servitude, is a price far too high to pay. You don't have to walk this difficult path entirely alone. If you are ready to break free, if you're ready to declare your own sovereignty and connect with a global network of others who are waking up from the same nightmare, then subscribe to this channel. Join our community. We are building an army of strong, free-thinking individuals who are taking back control of their lives, their finances, and their destinies. They designed the system for your failure. It's time you design your own for your success. Let's get to work.